So what is software testing? It's basically a very, very important step in the SDLC. Previously in the waterfall, we have seen that you first have the requirements, then you do the design, then you work on the development. And then finally, after about a good few months, we introduced what we call as testing. So till about, as I said, in the project that I did, till the 10th month of the project start, we could not have the testers on the team. Only we brought the testers in on at the start of the 10th month. Yeah, at the start of the 10th month of the project start, which is like a huge, huge reason for the debacle of that project. Because if they came in earlier, they would actually start working on it. They would actually try and look at all the scenarios. They would start writing the test cases, test plans, making sure we have got all of these ready from different perspectives, not just the functionality, but also from performance, from load, from security, from system testing, from the performance aspect of it, from the availability. All these things would have been taken care of if they were brought in earlier. So again, with Agile, it's very important that you start thinking testing first. In fact, there is a method, there's an Agile methodology called TDD. We're going to discuss that in one of the things, deep dive sessions in the coming weeks. It's called TDD, test-driven development. The whole approach of this is actually you start with a test case. You don't even start with the stories. You don't start with the code. You actually start with testing. You write up test cases. You execute the test. You fail them, and then you again try and write up the code to make sure you try and pass those test cases. So after about 3 or 4 iterations, which is what the 3 weeks, at the end of the 3 weeks, the goal is to pass those tests that you have written. So that's what is called a TDD, test-driven development. Very, very popular set of tools and set of methodology there. We will try and go through that in detail, but just that tells you how critical testing is in the success of Agile projects. And when you talk about testing, what it really means is you're talking about validating and verifying the features of a product. So you're validating in terms of, are we in the right track or not? And then verifying, have we done it the right way? Right? So the validation and verification is about doing things right and doing the right thing. So it's about prioritization and also doing things the correct way, efficiency and effectiveness. This is called the V model. You would have heard about it or seen something like that in some of the other cases, but V model has been the traditional approach for the verification and validation in the waterfall kind of projects. So you start with scope, you do the architecture, design, then low-level design development. This is the waterfall, right? And then the other side, you actually continue with this. You've got a test strategy, you've got acceptance testing, system testing. And by the time you've got the development, the coding done, you'll have something to actually do the unit testing, to actually integrate those different modules and then come up with the actual the system test cases and stuff like that. So this is basically the V model. And then you already had a look at it. In fact, we came out with what we call the inverted V model, is what I call it as. This is more of like a way to how I would present it. It's nothing to do with, there's no fundamental change in the concept. I'm not creating a new concept, but I'm trying to present it in a slightly different way just so that you understand the same structure and same set of activities and artifacts, but in a slightly different projection, basically. So I've actually given here to the artifacts or the kind of activities that we do as part of each of these steps in the process. So development, by this time you can actually have the prototype, and then you can actually showcase the prototype to the users. And then we have on this side of the spectrum, we've got the testing done. So test strategy is ready. As we evolve, as we start with the scoping, you've got test strategy ready. As we start with the architecture, you've got acceptance test cases ready. And as we start with the system design, your system test cases and the integration test cases and the module test cases, and then finally the unit test cases will be ready by the time you actually, even before you start development, you can actually come up with the test cases for each of these, the functional test cases, performance test cases, and you do the different types of testing as and when you complete it. So you actually are not waiting for something to complete, for the development to complete and then start the testing. You actually are having a head start with respect to the testing. So the validation and the verification are starting quite earlier in the project, so you don't have to really worry about the quality. The quality is actually the first outcome of this kind of an approach. And also you do the user testing. So you've got use cases, user stories. You actually look at acceptance test case, you write system test cases, integration test cases. All of these will actually contribute to the whole spirit of this whole thing is you're testing. You started testing much earlier. You're not really doing it waiting till the 10th month of the project start, but you're actually starting with the first day. You're actually having testers in the team. They start thinking in terms of the test first, and then they actually test often the regression test. Remember the regression testing I was talking about? So you don't test once, you actually test repeatedly, continuously across. Every time you deliver something, you need to test not only that piece of functionality, but also all the pieces that you have done so far, all the features that you had delivered till then, so that it is not impacting them working well. So that this is testing often, testing more frequently, and testing with the real users. You're not testing with just in the team. You're not actually just saying that, you know what, I have got a tester, functional tester, I've got automation tester. Not just these people testing the product, but actually within the context of this mobile accessory selling website, when we go live in November, end of the November, with the item details and the item list pages, the actual real users of the application, real users of this, and the customers of this website, intended website, they are having a go at it. They are actually testing this website. They're trying to see, and they're trying to use it. And in the process, they find the problems, they find defects, they report them. If they're happy, they won't. So the whole idea is you actually test with the real customers, the real users, not just testing within the four walls of your own room or within the organization, within the team. You're actually testing with the real users. And that's what Agile makes it more efficient, more effective, because they're the people who, remember, these are the people who actually are giving you the money, or the or making your the product, main target audience for this product, not the testers, not our testers, and not our third-party testers or QA team or the QC team. These are the people. So you're delivering your product to the right set of users, not after 2 years like what we did with the waterfall, but you do it like in the first possible instant, which is in 3 weeks time. So within a month time, I should be able to deliver, at least, you don't have to make the perfect product. That's what we discussed, right? Good is fine. Perfection is the enemy of good in Agile. If it is working well, if it is just kind of, if it is okay, it's fine. It can be shipped and can be made live, and then we can give the link to the customers and say, have a go. This is a new website. It's not ready. It's not complete yet. We are working on it. And we would love to hear from you as to what your feedback is, right? So that's how we should approach it. And they're more than happy to give us their feedback. Even if they don't give it like from a proactive way, they don't have to be explicit. When we actually look at the analytics, the Google Analytics and the kind of other Telium type tags, then that would actually tell you as to what are the problems, because it actually tells you how many users have hit, what is a page which is maximum hit, what is a page where they're spending more time, how much time are they trying to take, which button has been clicked more, which is not clicked, blah, blah, blah. All that analytics will get. So that will tell you, even if they're not really forthcoming with their feedback in an explicit way. So that's something which I wanted to share with you as a very critical step in terms of how you can make the Agile product development a success. Again, just wanted to give you a perspective on different types of testing. I'll just take another maybe 2 minutes to just rush through this so that you get an idea, and then we can close this session. So you've got different types of testing. I was saying it's not just functional testing, which is about feature, looking at the feature, what is input, what is the output. That's it. It's what we call as a black box testing. And the integration testing is basically you're trying to integrate. So we were talking about this catalog, right? So catalog should work on its own, and then it should also work with the shopping cart. And perhaps when you have the payment gateway integrated with a third-party provider like the WorldPay, you're actually calling their API. So this should work, the whole unit of whatever we've been developing should work well with that. So it should be able to actually create a shopping cart or shopping basket when you add the items to there, and then the whole list of the shopping basket, perhaps you come up with the total, what is the value of that basket that is in our control. That needs to be passed to the payment gateway provider like WorldPay. They just need to get how much amount this particular customer owes us, right? for this particular set of basket, they've got 5 items. So it costs, let's say, £80 or $80. So that amount, it needs to be passed. If it is passing the wrong amount, it's not working well. So it's not integrated well enough, right? So again, that's all about interfaces, working with the other applications, other systems, other products which are outside our realm. Your SAP, CRM, supply chain management, all other vendor applications, all of these come into the picture. So whatever you're trying to develop should work well with all of these existing systems. And then the non-functional testing, which is basically like non-functional requirements. You're trying to look at the FERPS plus model, right? Functionality, usability, reliability, and then you've got performance and security. So, and then there is a plus, which is all about interfaces, documentation, security, all of those stuff. So that FERPS plus model, so if you look at that, usability is also one of the important features. You need to check the usability. So that's why we've called the user testing, user experience testing. Then you've got the performance testing. You've got the security testing, the penetration testing, pen tests, all of these. And then quality assurance is basically is a term that we use to make sure that we are delivering the customer confidence, right? So it's all these sort of activities that go with the testing approach. Then you've got ad hoc testing, which is basically just like what we call a sanity test. So just going through the product, how it is all like. Usually the product owner or the business person would quickly do that without actually have the test cases and all that. So they don't really do the testing, but they just do a quick review of that site, clicking on something and then randomly doing the test. So that's called informal testing or ad hoc testing. Beta testing, only with a select set of users. So as I said, with the November release of our website, e-commerce website, we could just go with a beta release of that. And it's only about 50 users who are very loyal to us, who are willing to help us. So we'll just go live with this, and we'll share the link of this website and the user ID password set for those 50 users only. So it cannot be shared with others. So we'll say that we are just sharing these with you so that we can get your feedback. So that's called beta testing. And then black box testing, as we have seen, it's basically, you don't really worry about what is inside, how a program is written, what's the code, which loop is it calling? Is it a for loop? Is it a while loop? You don't really bother about all these. All you need to worry about is what kind of data is expected. What is the output that's giving? Is it working the fine way? I don't have to worry about what is inside that box. How it is doing is something which is outside my control. So that's called the black box testing. And then there's white box testing and so on and so forth.